You ever notice how a woman can hurt a good man and carry on like nothing happened? She won't lose sleep. She won't feel guilt, at least, not at first. Because when a man shows up with real intentions, honest, loyal, emotionally grounded, doesn't always recognize what's in front of her. Not because she's cruel, but because she's been conditioned by a cycle of emotional chaos. She spent so much time dealing with unpredictable men, inconsistent energy, and shallow validation that when something solid arrives, it feels off. That good man, the one who speaks with calm instead of control, who listens instead of deflects, who stands on integrity instead of ego, he doesn't register as exciting. He registers as boring. And it's not because he is boring, it's because her nervous system is wired for dysfunction. She doesn't know how to rest in peace, only how to chase stimulation. So, what does she do? She tests him. She pulls away, just to see how far he'll follow. She becomes cold, silent, moody, trying to spark a reaction. And most good men fall into the trap. They chase, they explain, they start questioning themselves. Did I do something wrong? Is she losing interest? And in trying to repair something that was never broken, they begin to erode their own value. They begin overextending, pouring more energy into a woman who's silently watching how far they'll go. And this is the beginning of a very slow unraveling. Because no matter how solid a man is, if he keeps giving to someone who doesn't respect his presence, he starts to burn out. He starts feeling invisible, depleted, and confused, not realizing that his goodness isn't the problem, it's just being served to someone who's not ready to receive it. It's not that she intentionally wants to hurt him. It's that she doesn't know how to value what isn't difficult to earn. She's been programmed to equate emotional struggle with passion. So when he shows up with ease, clarity, and consistency, it doesn't trigger her usual reward system. He texts back too fast. He listens too well. He doesn't make her wonder if he's talking to other women. And instead of that making her feel secure, it makes her restless. She begins to search for something to fix, something to stir up, because peace feels too foreign. And so, the good man becomes her emotional experiment. Not because he deserves it, but because she needs to create friction to feel alive. That's when the games begin. The delayed replies. The subtle attitude shifts. The withdrawal of affection, and the man, being loyal and emotionally invested, starts chasing. He thinks something is wrong, so he starts doing more, trying to reassure her, trying to fix the vibe. But the more he gives, the less she respects him. Not because he's weak, but because he's breaking his own frame for her approval. She didn't ask him to change, but now she sees that he will. And that's all the power she needs to start taking him for granted. He's too available, too consistent, too present, and she starts to view his love not as a gift, but as a given. The emotional shift is subtle, but real. He feels it, her coldness, her detachment, but instead of pulling back, he invests more. He thinks effort will fix it. But effort without reciprocity only leads to burnout. And while he's trying to rescue the connection, she's already drifting, slowly losing interest in what she never fully understood to begin with. This is the turning point. The silent collapse most men never see coming. He's done everything right. He's stayed consistent, patient, emotionally available. He's offered clarity in a world full of confusion. But none of it seems to land. His efforts are met with cold replies, delayed attention, distant energy. And something inside him starts to shift. He stops talking as much, stops texting first, stops trying to decode her moods, not out of anger, not out of bitterness, but out of exhaustion. He's tired of giving himself to someone who doesn't see him. Tired of being emotionally bled by someone who once claimed to care. And that's when he does the one thing she never expected. He goes quiet. Not the kind of silence that screams for attention. Not the kind meant to manipulate. Just real, grounded stillness. He detaches, not to teach her a lesson, but to protect his peace. Because at some point, every good man reaches the edge of his patience. He realizes that his value isn't in how much he can endure, but in how quickly he can walk away from what no longer aligns. And when he goes quiet, it shakes her. Because now she's no longer in control of his emotions. The power dynamic she used to thrive on has vanished. She starts to wonder, starts to check his stories, starts to text more than she used to, because the attention she once drowned in has gone dry. The validation she took for granted is no longer guaranteed. And for the first time, she sees the difference between a man who is emotionally needy and a man who is emotionally invested. He didn't lose interest, he lost respect. And in losing that, he found himself again. In silence, he found strength. Most women don't expect men to walk away. They expect resistance. They expect pleading, explaining, even emotional begging. They expect men to fight for their spot, to keep orbiting their world no matter how chaotic or emotionally unavailable they become, because that's what they've seen. That's what they're used to. The cycle of emotional babysitting where the man absorbs all the mood swings, the mixed signals, the disrespect, and still stays. So when he finally stops showing up with open arms and starts showing up with distance, it sends a shockwave through her illusion of control. It's not rage that rattles her, it's calmness. It's that quiet, emotional exit where he doesn't curse her name, doesn't guilt trip her, doesn't try to fix it anymore. He simply accepts the truth she refuses to face. She's been self-sabotaging something real, and now, it's over. That cold withdrawal, that silent elevation, it disorients her, because he's no longer participating in the push-pull game. He's no longer validating her chaos. He's observing it from a distance, unmoved. And nothing disturbs a woman more than the man she thought would never leave. Choosing himself instead, she thought she could bend him, break him emotionally, wear down his resolve with confusion. But all she did was teach him how to stop needing her now. He's not just walking away, he's leveling up. His energy isn't bitter, it's focused. His attention isn't scattered, it's disciplined. He's sharper, leaner, more grounded. Not because he wants revenge, but because he finally remembered who he was before trying to please someone who couldn't appreciate it. And that's the moment she realizes she lost something rare, not a perfect man, but a man who was willing to be all in. A man who will never come back the same. There's a truth most women won't say out loud. They don't regret hurting the man who begged. They don't lose sleep over the one who stayed after being disrespected. The one who cried, pleaded, and tried to earn back the affection she was carelessly withholding. No, that man doesn't haunt her. He becomes a footnote, a reminder of control, not connection. The man she truly regrets is the one who didn't collapse under the weight of heartbreak. The one who took the pain, swallowed it whole, and used it as fuel. The one who got sharper, leaner, colder, not out of spite, but out of clarity. He didn't become bitter, he became better. He stopped orbiting her mood swings and started building his own world. His silence turned into presence. His absence became power. And while she may never admit it, she watches. She feels it. That quiet elevation echoes louder than any argument ever could. Because deep down, she knows she didn't break him. She woke him up. And in doing so, she lost a man who would have gone to war for her. A man who tried to give her peace in a world that thrives on chaos. Now, he moves differently. He values his energy more. He guards his presence like a currency. And she's left with the ghost of a man who once gave her everything before realizing she didn't know what to do with it. That's the regret that lingers. Not the man who stayed and suffered, but the one who walked away in silence and rebuilt himself with fire. The man who never looked back, because he finally saw his worth. And that's the most dangerous kind of man, the one who heals in private and returns unreachable, unapologetic, unshakable, untouchable.